So in this video tutorial, we're going to look at animating a logo in 3D. And I'm going to start by placing a logo in Illustrator. And this logo is actually a pair of sunglasses. So I'm going to do a basic image trace and expand it and ungroup it and delete the white space, and that gives me a basic vector image there, which is pretty simple. I don't think I need to do anything else with it. It's a single path, so there's nothing complex. If you're using a more complex logo, then you might need to check it. At some point, if it's really complex, it might be easier to just use the pen tool and draw it yourself. Okay, so my logo is there. I'm also going to combine some text with it. So I'll use the text tool here, and I'm just going to use the word "so cool." Now, that's my default font, and let's just set a few type properties here. Rather than the default font of Arabic, I'm looking for a font that's kind of just the right amount of thick and thin, so quite like this Kifa. So it doesn't matter, you choose something that not too thin, not too thick. I might even go a bit bigger here, I think. Let's see if I go up to about 150 point. What does that look like? Yeah, not bad. Maybe a little smaller. Just take it down to 130. Okay, I think that's a good balance between the sunglasses and the the text. Now, one thing we need to do with this text is to turn it into outlines. So if we go type, create outlines, then actually if we ungroup it, you can see now that each letter has its own is its own outline shape. So if I just have a quick look at all my layers, there's the "so cool" and the sunglasses. So that's all fine. I'm going to save that to my folder, and I'm going to use save as. This is a bit of a trick here. We'll save it as "so cool logo." And instead of just hitting save, we're going to go, Adobe Illustrator, actually, we save, and then here we go back in history to Illustrator 8, and it'll give us a warning that this is an old format, but that's okay. We'll save it as Illustrator 8. That's partly because it needs to be in that older format for Cinema 4D Lite. So that's my work done in Illustrator, and I'm going to quit Illustrator and open up After Effects to get to Cinema 4D. So in After Effects, I'm going to make a new project and save it, of course. Save it into my folder called "so cool." And create a composition. I'm only going to go for 5 seconds here. That's about the right amount of time for this exercise. and my comp will be called So Cool. I'm going to set it at a size of 720 by 480, just because that will not take as long to render when I finally want to render it. Background color can be anything, and there's my composition. Okay, let's make a new layer, which is a Maxon Cinema 4D layer, and this is where we'll create our So Cool Maxon file. So that should open us up now into Cinema 4D, and we've got a So Cool Cinema 4D. I'm going to go into File, Merge Objects, and in here I will choose the So Cool Logo.ai. This is the Adobe Illustrator file that we just saved, and I'm going to open it. The scale of 1:1 is fine, and now I see my logo has been brought in. A couple of other things to notice. One is that the world 0 point is here, the world origin, and it's been placed sort of down, sort of lower down. So what I'm going to do is just sort of get my logo and move it more into the sort of the center of the world. That's by clicking on the logo. The other thing I want to show you here is that the logo itself has come in with the structure of a null object, and then each path is a separate path object. Now, what I would like to do is actually organize these into 3 parts, which are the 3 parts I'm going to animate. So I'm going to make a null object here and call this So. And in this one, I'm going to put the letters S and the letter O. So now the word So is controlled by this null object. Same with the word Cool. I'm going to create a null object, call it Cool, and put in, oh, not the sunglasses, the C, the O, the other O, and the L. So now I've kind of got things organized, and this one, by the way, is the glasses. So I now have my paths organized in a structure the way that I want to animate them. The next part is to use the extrude tool and make them into solid objects. So up here under the 3D tools we have the extrude tool. So I'm going to put an extrude in here and drop the word, the So group into extrude. So you can see that's dropped underneath extrude now. Now if I click on extrude, I can set the extrusion, but I'm not seeing anything here at the moment, and that's because I'm actually only extruding the null object. I'm not actually extruding the paths here. To extrude the paths, we have to click on this hierarchical button, and now you can see that I have the extrude tool is working just fine. I'm going to set something around about 40 centimeters for my extrusion. And so we need to do that for each of the the three objects here. So again, let me just put in an extrude, put cool in here, again set it to hierarchical, set it to 40, and the same with glasses. Actually, can we just command copy, command paste, this one here we don't need, but we can just drop the glasses in here. So we have three extrudes that are all extruding 40 centimeters. And we can spin around and just sort of check that that looks like what we think it should look like. So as we did last week, let's put on some materials. So I'm just going to go create, and we're going to use the prefabricated materials again, the presets. So let's use some glass this time. So let's say a red glass, and we'll click on the word so, and same for, let's say, maybe a blue glass, and let's put that onto cool, and then something for the let's use a green glass for the sunglasses. So if we render that, what does that look like? Okay, not too bad. The next thing I want to do is actually light my scene. So I'm going up to the lights here and creating a target light. So with this target light, it creates two objects. One is a light and the other is a light target. Now, this is a good place to go into the views and click on the light and maybe zoom out until we actually see where the light is. So the light is here, shining at our object. If we want to bring it a bit closer, we can bring it closer. The type is a spotlight. So let's just go back to our view at the moment and render it. You can see it's it's quite a specific kind of light. We can turn up the intensity, maybe make it up to 200%. We can sort of drag it back a bit to go a bit wider. We can, let me just go out for a minute. We can sort of try aiming it at different parts of the image. So that's sort of coming in from the side. What does that look like? So by playing with the lights, we can get some really nice effects on the light. You can still see there's some darkness in here, so maybe I would want to pull the light back a bit further to try and get some of that light. Maybe just back a little bit further. So what does that look like now? Yeah, starting to look quite interesting. This is maybe a nice opportunity to put a second light in. So if we put in another light, another target light, and call this, let's see, so this one here can be the key light, and this can be the fill light. So this one, I'm not going to make it as bright. I'm going to zoom out, make the fill light. Let's see, I'll bring the fill light. Let's see, where was the key light? The key light's still there. So the fill light can perhaps be more on this side and perhaps down a little lower, sort of fill in some of those shadows. Oh, by the way, I've got a filter on here for the lights, so yours probably looks something more like this. I find sometimes these are a bit confusing, but let's see. Once we get the lights sort of sitting where we want them, and this one here, maybe we take this one down a bit. This is a fill light, so it should perhaps be more like about 50%, something like that. Okay, let's do a quick render there and see what we're getting. So I think you can see, you can kind of look at the fill light on, the fill light off, and the fill light on. And the next thing we're going to do is create a camera. And up until now we've just used the default camera, but now we're going to create a camera. So this is our camera layer, and this is where maybe it's good to go to the 4 views and actually have a look at where this camera is. What I'd suggest is let's bring the camera into a sort of a middle position, and point it right at the object and make sure we're sort of front onto the object. I'm just using the position and the rotation controls there to get this camera to look, you know, straight at my my logo. If we go back to the perspective view, that now gives us the freedom to zoom in and out, to spin around, to have a look at the camera, and then look at the logo and kind of design, you know, where everything is. And then if we want to see what the camera sees, we can click on this little icon here, and that gives us exactly what we're seeing. So by using those two, the default camera and the camera that we've made, then we get a lot more control over how we're working in our scene. So I'm going to my camera view, and I want to bring in the So Cool and the logo one by one. So I've got 90 frames, so 3 seconds. I'm actually going to take that up to 150 frames because I want around 5 seconds in my timing here. And I'm clicking on the word so, and I'm looking down here at the basic coordinates. So with the Z control, I can move the object in and out. So I want to start with it off screen at about -500, and I'll put a keyframe there, and then around about 1 second in, let's say 30 frames, I will bring that into position. Let's see, where's 0? 0. Let me just enter 0. So, and then put another keyframe there. So let me just sort of check that sort of fly in. Now it's a bit dark as it flies in, so I might want to redo my lighting. At the moment, it's the light is a spotlight. If I go back to my key light and go to the general, you can see that the types are spotlight, omni. So if I just make it an area light or an infinite light, it gives me a bit more control over the range. So if I now yeah, I probably need to pull that back as well, but let's leave it for the moment. Maybe it's okay that it comes in, and as it comes into the light, it goes in there. If I went infinite, let's have a look at infinite. So infinite's like light coming from the sun. It's kind of being lit right from the moment it first appears. So you play around with these light settings and see what works for you. Let's just very quickly do the rest of the animation. So with cool, I would like it to start off stage, and let's see, so comes in at 30 frames, so at 1 second. So cool can start moving from 30 to 60. So by 60 frames, we would like it to be in position. So, yeah. So 0. And we'll just put a keyframe there also. So cool. And then from here we probably want the sunglasses. So let's click on the sunglasses and just do the same. So we would like to start with the sunglasses off stage at around frame 60, keyframe, and then by about frame, in fact, let's give it a little more time, by frame 120. So we'll give the sunglasses 2 seconds to come in. By this frame here, we would like the sunglasses to be in position at frame at 0 centimeters. Let's just have a quick look at how this comes in. I would quite like the sunglasses to still be sitting over the letters at this point here. So let's take the sunglasses up a bit, and let's see what happens. So if we take the sunglasses yeah, if we start with the sunglasses a bit higher, so I'm just going to turn this off for a moment and make the sunglasses sit a bit higher in our scene. And put a keyframe here. Now they're going to travel, if you see what I mean, now they're going to travel down across there. So hopefully when we look through our camera, that should now sort of come in more from the top and sort of pass right over the so cool and then into position. So if we have a look at that now in the timeline we've got so cool and then the sunglasses coming in. So I think it's time to save this and go back into After Effects. So in After Effects we see so cool. Oh, and I need to extend that image out for the full 5 seconds, the full 150 frames. And there it is there. I'd also maybe like to add a texture before I finally render this, so let's see what this looks like. Yeah, not bad. Of course, we've still got all the construction lines because it's in the draft format. So let's go back to the render controls and set that to the final. And that's kind of where we'll leave it. So I will render this out and it'll be a nice video. So let me just make sure we all know what we're doing here. Add it to the render queue. Make sure I know where I'm saving it. Desktop, cool logo. So cool.mov, that's fine. And we'll set the render working. So it's actually rendering quickly, so maybe we can actually watch it render. It's rendering quickly for me because I only made it 720 by 480. This would take a lot longer if we were rendering it at full HD. But anyway, you get the idea. It's starting to look really pretty, and this is how we do a basic animated logo. Other things that you might think about doing in here is adding some motion blur. Yeah, even some like flare effects and things like that can look good, and they're the sort of things that we would do in After Effects.